Ejiro was left in disbelief, as she could not imagine that her siblings, which she had struggled to look after and sent to school, could turn their backs on her when she needed their support. Ejiro wept uncontrollably for days. Once upon a time lived a young girl called Ejiro. When Ejiro was 3 years old, her mother died during childbirth, leaving Ejiro alone with her father. 2 years later, Ejiro's father remarried and had 2 more children, thereby giving Ejiro 2 younger siblings, a sister and a brother. Their names were Onome and Ochukwu. Ejiro's stepmother did not like her and so treated her badly. She maltreated Ejiro, especially when Ejiro's father was not around. She would make Ejiro do all the house chores and give her little or no food sometimes. And whenever Ejiro complains to her father, her stepmother would deny maltreating her, and so Ejiro's father would believe his wife's words over Ejiro's own. The maltreatment continued for many years, and as Onome and Ochukwu grew, Ejiro had hoped that her siblings would help her in the house chores and reduce her workload, but they never did, as their mother stopped her children from doing anything. And so Ejiro continued to work like a maid. Years later, when Ejiro was 18 and Onome and Ochukwu 14 and 12 years old respectively, Calamity struck. Their parents were killed in an oil spillage stampede. Ejiro's father and stepmother had gone for a wedding ceremony in another community, which was about 4 communities away from their home. They were on their way back home when they met with the stampede and lost their lives, unfortunately, rendering Ejiro and her siblings orphans. After the death of their parents, Ejiro and her siblings were left with nothing, as their father's relative could not give proper accounts of how they spent and managed their father's money and assets for the burial. Ejiro became not just a big sister to her siblings, but also became more like their father and mother all in one. She chose not to bear any grudges and overlooked how her stepmother and her siblings had treated her in the past. First, Ejiro used the little money one of her father's friends had secretly gave her during their parents' burial to start a trade. She bought some fruits with the money and started hawking morning and evenings. She knew that Onome and Ochukwu were not used to a hard life, so she asked them to stay at home and look after themselves while she goes to hawk. At the end of every day, Ejiro would use a part of her profits to buy food for the house. She would ensure that Onome and Ochukwu were filled and satisfied before she would eat whatever was left of the food. 8 months after Ejiro started her fruits business, the business grew and Ejiro was able to get a small store not far from their house to sell her fruits, and so she stopped hawking. Now, because she now owns a stall and was no longer hawking from place to place, Ejiro allowed her siblings to join her in her fruit stand to sell sometimes. Ejiro and her siblings had to stop school after their parents' deaths. When their parents were alive, Onome and Ochukwu attended the modern government model school, which was the biggest and best school around then. The school was built by the missionaries in collaboration with the state government, and it is situated at the local government secretariat. Only bright and intelligent students were given admission into the school. However, some wealthy parents were able to bribe some few corrupt officials in the school and in the local government secretariat to give their children admission into the modern government model school. And that was what Onome and Oshuko's mother did. I can't allow my children to attend this poor local community village school. My children deserves better, she said, referring to the village community school. And so she bribed those corrupt officials into giving her children admission into the modern government model school and would take her children every morning to the town for school. However, Ejiro attended the village community school as her stepmother cared less about her. Now, Ejiro haven't built a good and cordial relationship with some of the officials at the local government secretariat through her fruit business, was able to make Onome and Ochuku retain their admission even after being out of school for a year. And so, Ejiro, who had finished her secondary school education and was anticipating writing the entry exams into the tertiary institution before her father's death, had to forget about furthering her own education so she could give her siblings a good life. As the years went by, Ejiro's business continued to grow. She got 4 more large fruit stands with many workers whom she employed to be at the different stands. Onome and Ochuku were able to finish their secondary education and both got into the university. There was a man named Tega. Tega became friends with Ejiro when he first started coming to buy fruits every evening from Ejiro. Later, he would come also in the afternoon and spend a lot of time chatting with Ejiro and also help her attend to her customers. Soon, Tega and Ejiro got very close and really fond of each other. Tega was a shoe cobbler who mended shoes. Every day, he would carry his little basket and box which contains his working tools and go from place to place looking for those whose shoes needs mending. And in the afternoon when the sun is out, he would pause work and go sit at Ejiro's fruit stand. It was obvious that Tega loved Ejiro from the way he would always look into her eyes. However, Onome and Ochuku do not like Tega. They considered him too poor and his kind of job unworthy for someone who has intentions of being their brother-in-law. They also began to see him as a gold digger who was out to milk their elder sister, who is obviously doing so well than he was. Sister Ejiro, you can't fall in love with such a mere shoemaker and a low life. It is obvious that he is a gold digger who wants you only for your money, Onome and Ochuku told Ejiro. And so, whenever Tega was around, Onome and Ochuku would east at him and give him a disdainful look to show their disapproval. You gold digger, please stay away from our sister. She is not your type, they would say to him. Tega always ignored their harsh words and continued seeing Ejiro regardless. A few months down the line, Onome and Ochuku graduated from the university. Onome became an accountant whilst Ochuku became a pharmacist. Ejiro's business also grew larger, and then she moved to a large shop and opened a supermarket. However, calamity struck one day when Ejiro's supermarket caught fire and everything was burnt down. The fire incident shattered Ejiro and left her with nothing except for a small amount of savings she had. Ejiro, determined to start again, turned to her siblings for support. But Ejiro got the shock of her life when her siblings refused to help her. You and your staff were careless. That is why your shop got burnt. Moreover, how can you not have good savings after all these years of doing business? That is so unwise, Sister Ejiro, Oshuko told her. Ejiro could not believe what she heard Oshuko said to her. She left and went to see Onome with the hope that Onome would not be like Oshuko and would help her. But Sister Ejiro, how can you not have insured your business? There are many insurance companies everywhere. I know you stopped your education at secondary level, but still, that does not mean that you should be this dumb, Onome said to her. Ejiro was left in disbelief, as she could not imagine that her siblings, which she had struggled to look after and sent to school, could turn their backs on her when she needed their support. Ejiro wept uncontrollably for days. Well, all through the incident, Tega never left Ejiro's side. He would bring food to her every day and make attempts to cheer her up. Saying that her siblings had refused to help her, Tega asked Ejiro to take a loan from the bank, but Ejiro would not. One day, Tega brought a large sum of money and offered it to Ejiro and told her to start a business. Where did you get this so much money from? Ejiro asked, surprised. Tega told Ejiro that he had gone to a microfinance bank and staked his own business to get a loan because he wanted to help her. Tega's gesture broke Ejiro as she realized how much he loved her and was not the gold digger her siblings had presumed him to be. Ejiro, however, refused to accept the money, saying that she would not want to put Tega in a position with the bank. Peradventure, she was unable to make back the money within the short time frame given. It was at this junction Tega revealed his true identity. Tega was the state governor's son who had been out of the country for studies in the past years. On arrival back to his home state, Tega, who was searching for real love after having several failed relationships, decided to disguise himself and conceal his real identity outside the state capital. He fell in love with Ejiro, who also was in love with him as the poor shoemaker he disguised himself to be. And so, Tega confessed that the money he was offering Ejiro was not a loan, but his own money. Whilst they spoke, Tega's personal assistant and his cousin Edafe and Efe, whom Ejiro knew as his friend and fellow shoe cobblers before now, came in at that moment and confirmed Tega's real identity and admitted to being part of the old fake identity plan. Tega introduced Ejiro to his parents, the governor and first lady of the state, and weeks later, Tega and Ejiro got married. With the support of her husband and father-in-law, Ejiro opened a large supermarket. Now, a large sum of money went missing in the bank Onome was working. Onome and two other people who were at the office working overtime on the day the money went missing were fired because of this. Also, a young girl died as a result of taking an overdose of drugs. In the young girl's bag, they found a receipt which shows that she had bought some drugs on that day from a particular pharmacy. Ochuku was the pharmacist on duty in that pharmacy that day, and so he was sacked and arrested by the police for the girl's death. Onome heard the news about Ejiro and Tega's union and their new life. Regretting her action towards her big sister and needing her help, Onome went to Ejiro and asked for forgiveness and plead that she helps get Ochukwu out of prison. With the help of Tega, a thorough investigation was carried out and it was found out that Ochukwu was innocent, and so he was released from jail. Ochukwu and Onome, whilst pleading with their sister, asked that Ejiro help them get back on their feet. However, Ejiro said that she had forgiven them and do not bear any grudges against them, but that they should go sort themselves out on their own, and also warned them that they do not come visiting her home ever, as she would only communicate and relate with them from afar from that moment. The end. Do you think Ejiro's decision was justified? From her action, did she really offer forgiveness to her siblings? I would love to know. Please leave a comment. Thank you for watching and see you in our next video. Bye.